Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Stanisci of NLL Lacrosse Talk. Welcome to the Spanglish Sports World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now joining us is our guest, Holden Cattoni. Holden, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
I got to tell you, I got a little bit confused because we changed people and I had it scheduled a different way, so I had to change it. So I apologize for the little bit of delay. We always ask everybody, that's involved in lacrosse today, how it all started for them. How did it start for you?
So I grew up in Calgary, which isn't really much of a hotbed of lacrosse. It is now, I think, a little bit more so than when I was growing up. But my parents wanted me to not play hockey year round, and just at the rink, one of the hockey rinks, they saw a flyer for Axeman Lacrosse and decided that was the route that they were going to put me in, and haven't really looked back. And that was almost like 25 years ago already. So it's been a wild ride since then.
Tell us about your pro career.
Yeah, so I started out in Calgary. I got drafted in the 2016 draft at Hopkins, and played 2 years in Calgary. Really enjoyed playing at home. It was very special to start my career for a team that I grew up, idolizing and being a ball boy for, and being so close with. And then got traded out to Georgia. Spent 1 year there, and then got picked up in the expansion draft by the Rochester Nighthawks. And I'm heading into my third season there in Rochester.
You've been around long enough to know that, expansion teams are in lacrosse can be very different, especially in the NLL. You could have an expansion team that's literally starting as an expansion team and from scratch, but then you also have the situation where you have teams move. You had a bit of that experience in Georgia, didn't you?
Yeah. I came in a few years after they moved to Georgia, but it was still like a fairly new experience, and there was definitely some pieces of the environment that were ever changing. And I think it was a good experience. It's good to grow the game. I think in that area, you see the MLL was there for a long period of time. I believe the PLL touches base there. I think once a year, or has in the past, and it's definitely an emerging market. So hopefully their fan base is expanding, and they start to do really well down south.
Gary?
Well, so I want to start with actually your junior career. And you started out in Okotoks with that team. Let's talk about it then and now, because obviously with the minors being so successful in the Minto this year, that program and the entire league itself has really expanded and become a pretty strong force now in Canadian lacrosse. What was it like when you were starting out there?
Yeah, I think when I first came in as a rookie and junior, I played on probably one of the strongest teams that we've had represent Alberta, and many guys that played in the NLL played collegiately at a high level as well, and guys that certainly play Senior B and Senior A across the country. So it was a really neat experience playing in the Man Cup my very first year, and especially since we hosted. Unfortunately, ran into maybe one of the best junior teams of all time, that Whitby Warriors team that was absolutely loaded. So I think that was kind of the beginning of momentum in Alberta, especially at the junior level, that we could compete, because by no means did we get blown out, but we held our own, and it just hasn't really been to the point where we're able to compete. And it's great to see what the minors did this year. The rules are a little different from what I know now in the Minto Cup, where you're allowed to pick up, I think, 5 players from across Alberta when you represent Alberta in the Minto Cup. So that's a little different than how we did it back then, but nonetheless, still an historic one for the minors.
Oh yeah, and I think if the CLA doesn't drop the ball, this is a really good chance to really bolster up Alberta lacrosse.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, off the top of my head, when I played junior in Alberta, picking up 5 guys from across the league really would have put us in a more advantageous position, definitely. You think of some of the goaltending that was around back then, guys that play in the NLL. Dan Taylor was one of the best players across the country, and he was never on my team. Having the opportunity to maybe pick him up and a few other pieces really would have brought a lot of depth, which I think is something that has always kind of lacked in Alberta. Like a lot of the top end talent's fairly similar, but when you get further down the roster, there's just not that wealth of experience or talent quite yet.
Now, you also played some junior in Peterborough. Let's talk about that and talk about the program, because we know about Peterborough. I've spent God knows how many days back and forth. Love it.
He was
I love it. Every
kidnapped.
time I go in the city, I love it because the energy is, we'll
They
talk more
wouldn't
about
let him go.
when we get to the man cup, we'll talk more about that. But just the programs itself for junior, and with all the legends in there adding their input.
Yeah, I mean, it's I would truly believe that Peterborough's the best place to play across the country. It's a very special place to play. I'm sure there's a few other programs that have or that do have the history, but I don't know if there's a place that's as supported by the alumni as Peterborough. That was really apparent to me the second that I came here in junior, and you have all former Lakers coaching you in junior, and that's the case right now with like Rob Hope, and I think we have 4 other guys that are part of the junior team that play on our team. So I think that there's a good culture of really paying back the junior team once you're in a position to do so, and it's really served the lacrosse community here really well, and obviously led to a great amount of success, and hopefully there'll be a little bit more success in the near future for the junior team.
It sure is well received when you have success there, right?
Well, definitely. I remember when I was in junior, when we were doing really well, we had a really strong team, a lot of the core that is part of the senior team now. And, we were, getting, 1,500, 2,000 people to regular season games. And then we played Six Nations in the finals, the Ontario finals, my last year of junior. And, we were getting, pretty steady crowds of over 2,000 for that series. So that's, I would say fairly unheard of across junior lacrosse, and something that's pretty special.
Now you went and you played collegiately with Johns Hopkins, as you mentioned. Let's talk about that, because we've had a number of people from Hopkins on the program itself and just everything that goes along with that experience.
Yeah, sure. I got recruited in kind of a weird way. I got recruited off a YouTube video and really hadn't played a whole lot of field lacrosse before I stepped foot on Homewood, and it was definitely a lot of there was a lot of growing pains my freshman year. And playing for Coach Petro is never easy. I don't think a lot of people would say it would be, but especially for me, it was a little bit of culture shock coming from playing in junior in Alberta, and now all of a sudden practicing, playing every single day at school, and a heavy demand of expectation as well. So it was definitely there was a lot of a learning curve there, and took me a little while to adjust, but I think I did okay once I got my feet under me and understood how to be away from home for the first time and manage school as well, and get into the routine of playing lacrosse. And it's such a grind to play every single day at school. It's a huge challenge, so it's something that I'm pretty proud of.
You had honorable mention for All-American, so you obviously picked it up pretty well.
Yeah, I did pretty well. I think I was one of 2 freshmen to start our freshman year, so that's great. I got off to a pretty good start, and pretty fortunate to have played with some really good players there as well. So I really enjoyed my time. It's given me some really close friends for life, and that's probably the most special part about it for me.
What do you find is the most difficult thing adjusting from box and playing field? I know field coming to box, it's being in tight and trying to get shots away while everybody's on top of you and really not having that space. But coming from the box zone, going out into field, what would be the biggest transitional problem?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a cerebral game, especially the way it's played in college. There's scouting reports galore down there. Everyone knows, pretty much everything there is to know about every player. Teams watch film throughout the week, hours and hours of film throughout the week. That's something that we don't really do a ton of here. I'm playing a lot more frequently. It's just a lot more of a cerebral game. It's a lot more planned out, what we're going to do, like play wise and things like that. Whereas I find box lacrosse is more of like a read and react, and like really rely on your like talent and your skill and your like instincts for the game, rather than really planning out where you're going to go and what position on the field you want to be at certain times.
So then there's more preparation in field because you play less games, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more preparation, but I think even your approach to playing is a lot more calculated. I'd say there's really no way to script a box lacrosse game. Things happen and change so frequently. I think that's maybe changed a little bit now with the introduction of the shot clock in college, but that wasn't around when I was there. So there's a lot more structure to how you play offense and the way the defense plays, and even like slides are planned out in advance, and you kind of just follow the leader there, and there's a lot of structure and just a lot of planning that goes into every play. And in box lacrosse, I definitely play a lot more by feel and reading, reacting, and the instincts that you have by just seeing situations.
Would it be fair to say that the analogy in box lacrosse that people use a lot of the time, the similarity to organizational play that's relative to basketball, and field lacrosse, it's more like soccer, so you end up with a build-up as opposed to the in-tight work?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a really good analogy. Like, there's a lot more structure to it, especially in soccer, and that's a great way to look at it. And obviously basketball, like, there's a lot of changing back and forth, and everything's more on the fly than it would be like in a settled situation. So I think that's a great way to look at it.
So to expand on Gary's question about the challenges of going from box to field, because of what we just said right now, being a player that how can I put this here? Being a player who understands the game and has the physical aptitude to move longer distances, in other words, endurance. Do you feel that at all in the difference in the two games, or it's just different kind of endurance?
It's a different kind of endurance. In field lacrosse, you're out there for some shifts are like 2 or 3 minutes long. Especially for me as a midfielder, it was an adjustment to play offense and then potentially have to play defense after that. I don't really feel that pressure here, because like the maximum you can play defense is about 30 seconds or so. So there isn't that like pressure, and like again, it's a lot less like mentally tasking like to play here. You just read and react situations, especially when I go back and play defense. And honestly, a lot of the D guys just kind of shout me around and tell me where to go. Whereas it's, everything's a lot more planned out, and you have to follow a certain slide package that you have for that week, or you have to know which hand a guy likes to use, or which way he likes to dodge, and know some tendencies in the field lacrosse game. So it's a lot more taxing that way as well.
We're getting closer, Gary. So then essentially the difference in the two games is you have to think a lot quicker on indoor, where as opposed with outdoor, you have to plan better your play.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I wouldn't even say I honestly don't really think I wouldn't say I think a lot in the box game. It's a lot of just like read and react. You don't have a lot of time to like process what's going to happen next. I mean, certainly you can think like a play or two ahead and kind of think of, this guy moves one way, I'm going to throw it the other. There's all of that sort of part of it, but it's a lot of instinctual habits. Everything happens so fast, especially at the higher levels, like in senior A and the NLL. Everything happens so fast that there isn't really a lot of time to really break down and think about things. You just have to react and make a play as quickly as possible.
Yeah, thanks for that, because that's really the question that Gary, I think, whether you're meant to ask it or not, I think that's the answer to the question, right, Gary? That it's a different mentality between box and field lacrosse. It doesn't mean you're more talented or less talented. It's how you use your talent is different.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously, I think Canadians have had a lot of success in the States, especially in the collegiate game, because like our skill kind of and our ability to read and react when play situations are broken down there really leads to like a lot of creativity and a lot of goals, which really isn't seen a whole lot in the field game. So I think that's definitely an advantage above the skill and all that side of things aside.
The final thing I'd like to add to that is, so in other words, we can all assume because of the transitional way of players go from box to field, from field to box, there's almost a blending that's happening at this time, now that we're at a point where there's been a lot of exchange both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a big hybrid in the sixes game now. You're seeing that come to fruition a little bit, and that part of the game grow, and hopefully it's part of the Olympics in the short future here. But the hybrid has benefited definitely my game, learning some things from the field game and implementing them into my box game, and then 100% my box skill working through my college career benefited it as well.
Well, I think the sixth game I think would play right into your game because of that booming shot of yours. You can score from anywhere, really.
Yeah, the only issue is I'd have to play defense, and I don't know. We're too keen on that. So,
spoken like a true offensive player.
Love it. Love it. You're drafted 5th overall. Obviously, you turned heads from the way you played in Hopkins for the NLL. What was it like the first year when you're playing for Bob McMahon, you're playing for Kurt Malosky? Just those minds. How did that help you develop your game?
Yeah, it certainly did. I mean, I played a different role my rookie year for the Roughnecks than I'd ever played before. I played behind, some guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame, and Jeff Shatler, Dane Dobie, Curtis Dixon. So we had a really high-powered offense. So I took more of like a grinder role, somebody that worked for Dobie and tried to get hit the ball. I didn't shoot a whole lot. It really wasn't my job to put the ball in the net. It was my job to work hard for my teammates, get some loose balls here and there, and really drive our offense forward in that way. So it was an adjustment for sure, but it's definitely served my game well. And Kurt and Bob are among the brightest minds in lacrosse for sure in history, I would say.
Right.
And they really did teach me a lot. Bob McMahon's one of my favorite coaches I've had. I just love his approach to the game, and he's just very calm and relaxed, which I like. And that's something that I really enjoyed in my time in Calgary.
Mm-hmm. And your role actually changed as it went along, because when they lost Shatler, I think you took more of an offensive role then, didn't you?
Yeah, my second year, I think Shatler signed in. He signed in Saskatchewan that year. So it was kind of up to me to step into that role, and it was something that I felt I was ready for, and excited to embrace that role because it was more towards what I had been doing my whole career. So I had a pretty successful year there, and hit the ground running, and made it easy with a really good offense.
Now you get traded, and not for any slouch. Jesse King was the one who went to Calgary. And you wind up in Georgia, and now you're playing with the Thompsons. What is that like to play with the Thompson brothers, and in your journey of getting better and getting more comfortable in the league?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Both Miles and Lyle are incredible players. I mean, it's an honor to really watch them play and see how they approach the game. They definitely approach the game a lot differently. They play, for the love of the game and for the creator, and their motivation to play lacrosse is a lot different than most. They don't play for wins or losses, but I mean, they're very competitive in their own mild way. So it's really cool to see that. And we still had, Randy Stats was on that team. Shane Jackson was on that team on the left side with me. So we had a really good offense, and we were pretty dynamic. So it was a really fun year to play there.
I would never have thought that anybody would refer to Sean as mild. But that's okay. We'll take that one.
Yeah.
So once again, you're playing for some great minds with Ed Como, Sean Ferris, and probably a different approach anyways. How did that enhance your thinking anyways, the cerebral part of the game?
Yeah, it definitely did. We played a little bit more of like a running gun style on offense with a little bit less structure than we did in Calgary, just because of the talent that we had. And it was really fun to play that way. There's nothing those guys are incapable of around with the ball in their sticks. So it was a lot of just get myself open and somebody will find me, and when the ball's in my stick, be ready to throw it to one of them to put in the net. So it was, I think, one of the higher point years that I've had in my career. So it's there's no, that's not by mistake.
Right. It must be a real pleasure to play for a franchise like Rochester. Rochester's one of the teams that has a very deep and successful history.
Yeah, I mean, depending which way you look at it. Again, the Rochester team with a lot of history is in Halifax.
I know.
But the city definitely embraces us really well. The fans are, among the most passionate that I've seen. They've been there since the onset of the original team. So it's really good to see that, and the city does embrace us pretty well. I mean, hopefully we'll have a little bit better of a product to put in front of them very soon. That's the goal anyway. But they really do support us, and we definitely feel the love in Rochester.
To me, I look at it like Peterborough. If by chance, for whatever reason, Peterborough had to replace a team, I don't think it would be difficult for them to do it, and I don't think it'll be difficult for Rochester. That you guys have a history there, and I think that history matters, and the fans and the people that are there love the game a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel the love. It's on a different scale, I'd say. I think the Americans are probably still the toast of the town in Rochester, and they love their hockey there. And in Peterborough, lacrosse is, I think, king here, and everyone really supports the Lakers. But no, I think they're very similar in that way, where there's a lot of passion and a lot of history there. So that's something that I really enjoy about playing in Rochester and in Peterborough.
That first year was a little strange, though, because, again, Halifax made a trip in, and all the guys who were in the home bench are now on the visitors bench, and it gets a little confusing in that. But you guys got it together. It wasn't the best of first years, but I think the growing pains hit, and you all seem to mesh together to form what is coming upon now. Because now, wow, you have Thomas Hogarth, Connor Fields, Curtis Knight, yourself, Ryan Smith, Charlie Bertrand, now Austin Hazen's in the mix. That's a pretty powerful lineup, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly challenging coming in as an expansion team. You're starting from scratch, and it's definitely taken us a couple of years to get to a point where we feel we can be competitive. And we've had a couple of guys, I think last year we had a lot of promise going into the year, and losing Evan Kirk was a huge loss for our team. And I think it really deflated us. So we went on to have a pretty mediocre year, and Dan's chipping away at our roster and making us incrementally better each and every year. And I think that's pretty par for the course for an expansion team. So it's good to see us taking steps forward to be better, and hopefully that translates to some more success on the floor.
Because you got two young goalies, but they're both extremely good goalies. Hartley and Hutchcraft are fantastic.
Yeah, we just signed Hutchcraft as well, or traded for him this summer. So there's definitely some competition in the crease. I think Rylan Hartley is among the best young goalies in the league. So it's going to be really cool to see him progress. And I liken him to Del Bianco when I played in Calgary, who's playing behind Frank Chiliano my rookie year. So it's got that vibe to it. And I think he's got the skill set that can really bring him up into like that echelon of goaltending. And hopefully he takes that step this year.
And he comes out of the other program you're, excuse me, that you're talking about with Orangeville, being like Peterborough in that regards, except that they don't have a major league team, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool to play in the Bunny Barn. I've never actually played there, but I was one year that I played I played against Orangeville. They played in the other rink while the Rose Arena was getting some renovations, and then my last year of junior, I was in the stands. I was hurt, so I didn't play in that game. But it was still really cool to see the experience and more of a unique experience, I think, seeing it from the stands during the game. But I've been fortunate enough to see a couple of junior games there since then, and it's a great atmosphere, and definitely one of the better places to play junior.
Yeah,
and a great town to play in.
Yeah, 100%. They are a lot like Peterborough in that a lot of their alumni support their team. A lot of their current coaching staff and GMs and people that are involved with their team are all alumni. So they really do believe in the same mantra as here, as you give back to the program that was so good to you. So it's great to see that, and I think that just builds for a strong program.
I think, Holden, what you're talking about is that's the lacrosse mentality. The loyalty, the family atmosphere, the dedication to organizations and teams. And that's what I was alluding to with Rochester. Even though it's not the same team, somehow the towns have an impact on the teams, just like in Orangeville, just like in Peterborough, just like in Swift, in different places, BC, everywhere. Every little community that has a team really grows to love it. What's that like as a lacrosse player? And is there any difference that surprises you when you go from one place to another?
I don't know if I find it really surprising anymore. It's all of these small towns, like these teams are part of the fabric of the community. It's something that when you're a kid, you grow up watching Orangeville, or grow up watching the Lakers here. So it's something that I think everyone's just kind of accustomed to. And when you're playing for the junior team, you're being coached by guys that played on the senior team, and now that you're part of the senior team, you want to give back and coach the junior team. And I coached the midget team a couple of years ago, so there is a lot of players that really do give back into the minor programs, and it's really, I think, impressive across Ontario and BC, and now you're seeing that same mentality in Alberta, where playing lacrosse is something that's part of the community, and really growing the game.
If I'm not mistaken, there was a kid from Alberta that was drafted in the first round, and I asked him about lacrosse in Alberta, and there's nothing he's looking forward to more than watching the game grow there. And the great players that are coming out of there, like yourself, they're still coming out there. You're not unique, and I hope that doesn't sound like a put down. You're not unique. There's a lot of players coming out of Alberta. They may not be up to the standard of Ontario and BC, but they're on. I think they're in a good trajectory where lacrosse in Alberta is getting really, really good.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think like Alberta lacrosse has really gotten the respect that it deserves the last few years. Like even when I was in midget, we finished with the silver medal, and I think since then they've won a gold medal at nationals. So there is a lot of improvement there. The game's growing immensely. I think there's a lot of players that are on NLL rosters now, probably the most of all time, from Alberta. And then you see the emergence of Saskatchewan, lacrosse in Saskatchewan and Manitoba now, and then even in Nova Scotia in the Maritimes. It's
and
great.
Quebec.
Yeah, it's all over.
We had a kid first round from Quebec as well.
So it's great to see that, and some more Americans are coming to the league as well, which will hopefully grow the game down south and make it more competitive. And the days of Ontario and BC dominating are I think coming to an end, and that's, I think, a great sign for lacrosse.
Yeah,
well, they're doing a lot over with Dallas Eliak in the U.S. with U.S. Boxla, so it's taken huge steps forward. So with all the expansion coming, they're going to need it, right?
Right, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, like Ontario and BC are going to dominate and be the lion's share just because of the culture. But I think other places are catching up, and it's really good to see, and it's exciting to see where lacrosse is going to be in the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, the compete level, from province to province, the gap's going to narrow, and that's a great thing. That's a great thing. We'll have other great players from Calgary to talk to, as well as yourself. And I guess the question that I was going to ask is, you talked about being in the stands and seeing it from a different perspective. The same's true for when you go to Orangeville. If you're born in Orangeville, you're born in Peterborough, you're born in BC, one of the hotbeds there, right? You think that everywhere loves lacrosse like that. It's amazing how much respect you must have when you go from Calgary to a place like Orangeville and a place like Peterborough, and you realize how special those towns are and how special those fans are.
Yeah, I mean, my first experience of it was It was in Pee Wee Nationals, and we came to a Lakers game while we were in Whippy for Nationals, and just to watch, the Lakers play, and sitting in the stands, and it was a full house. I'd never seen that at a lacrosse game before. I mean, even with seeing the Roughnecks, and that's professional, and seeing it in a small town at that level where the arena is just jammed and the atmosphere is just a lot different. You can feel the excitement as you enter the building. That was my first experience of it, and I looking back at it now, being able playing in the Man Cup with a sold out crowd at the Memorial Center, it was just it's come full circle, and it's not lost on me how special that is.
You don't have an empty corner with no sound happening. Every corner of the building, you can feel the excitement in every corner.
Yeah, and especially like you mentioned, Orangeville and Peterborough here, our fans are supportive. They're really loud. They love lacrosse, but they're also really knowledgeable about the game, and they understand how the game should be played, and they're really good at analyzing the game, and it's really good to see that as well, because it just shows how good of fans they are.
They know what good lacrosse looks like. I think they're well trained. They have good experience knowing what it looks like, right?
What the game is supposed to look like, yeah.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about the Lakers. First of all, congratulations on winning the Man Cup and a 4-peat. That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now, when did you join first with the senior team?
So my first year out here as a junior, I think I played a handful of games for the senior team, and then my second year in junior here, my last year junior, I played again a handful of games for them in the regular season and the playoffs, and then I played out in the Man Cup in Victoria for them, and then since then I've been full time. So I think this was just my fifth. Just finished my 5th year of senior.
So four championships is not bad out of 5 years, I'd say.
Yeah, the one singer is that we had Six Nations. My rookie year, it was the year that John Grant Jr. came back to play. We had Six Nations down 3-0 in the finals, and they came back to win in 7. So that was a tough one to swallow. But since then, it's been absolute roses.
Yeah, full steam ahead. Now, we talk about the Peterborough experience, and literally when I come into town midway through the day of a game day, the entire town is buzzing. Mm-hmm. You've got billboards, you've got restaurants with banners, you've got, legends coming out to meet and greet and do their thing, and just very welcoming, but very, very intense atmosphere from long before game time all the way into game time. Now, as players, you obviously have to feel that no matter where you go in the city, getting ready to go to games.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we go out for lunch, and people recognize us and wish us luck, and you can definitely feel that the city's behind you, and there's a ton of support. And we're really fortunate here with the Lakers that we're supported by the community and all of our small businesses in town. They are sponsors, and they make our team possible. So it's great that the community is willing to support us, and we're more than happy to be part of the community, and been really fortunate to have a lot of success for them.
Right. We had Jamie Batley on a few weeks back, and we were talking about the alumni and all the things being done for them, and the Skybox, of course, for them. And what it does is help keep them involved with you guys and the whole community aspect of it, so that that you guys can grow with what they've known, and et cetera. And eventually you'll be up there as well down the road. So once a Laker, always a Laker, if I got Johnny Davis in my ear correctly.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. And honestly, it all comes back to Ted Higgins, buying the team. I don't even know how many years ago now, but believe it or not, the lacrosse in Peterborough wasn't always what it is now. And it's really, him and some of the other volunteers in our board that have made it what it is. So it's really impressive to see how far it's come. And I think Teddy is kind of the pioneer for lacrosse in this town, especially for the senior team.
Give the listeners and viewers out there an indication. 150 years this year for lacrosse in Peterborough, and the team goes back to 1949. So, there's a wee bit of history there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to look too far to see it visually. If you look up in the Memorial Center, it's plastered with Man Cup and Minto Cup wins and everything like that. So it's really cool to see how far back it goes, and just the names and the historic players that have played for the Lakers. It's incredibly impressive, and we're lucky to still have a few of them around that greet us after games, and we can talk to and pick their brains a bit. So I think that's all plays into how special a place it is.
It's no accident. No accident. It's referred to as Canada's winter game. Hockey's sharing it now more out of popularity rather than history. But lacrosse has been a part of Canada longer than Canada's been around. So it's really it's fantastic.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
No, it's family oriented, as we're talking about. But your family moved up to Peterborough a couple of years ago. This is probably the first cup that the dad was at, right?
No, I think my parents have been at all of them. This might be the first one that they've lived in town for, that we've won at home. I can't remember if the year that we won at home, if they would have been here or not yet. But having them there at every Man Cup. My mom only watches about half the game. She can't even bear to watch us play defense. She has to get my dad when we get the ball back, so she can watch us play offense. But it's really, really cool to have them around now, and be part of, see every game and be part of it. It's really special again.
Well, your dad made a statement after you guys won that of all the cups, this one was the most special, obviously, because your brother's there too. 5 Man Cups in the family right now, right?
Yeah, 5 Man Cups in the family, and it's great to see Tate. They come full circle. I think he had a tough winter in his rookie year in the NLL, and for him to step up when we really needed him throughout the summer here, and then especially in the Man Cup when we had Turner Evans go down hurt. It's been great to see just the level of play that he's capable of, and he's definitely still got a lot more room to grow.
Yeah, I think he found his niche actually with the Lakers team this summer, because he seemed to be quite a good playmaker. In tight, I think he's excellent to get a shot off, and he had some really important goals.
Yeah, I mean he's got all the skills, he's got it all, and just to see him bring out a different side of his game, similar to like how I played in Calgary my rookie year, where you're not really relied upon to put the ball in the net a whole lot, but get guys open and be a little bit of a spark for our offense out there. It's great to see, and it led to goals and points for him, and that all is part of it. But he's definitely had a few plays that I felt like changed momentum in games in the playoffs, and then in the Man Cup as well. So that emotion's been really great for us, and really proud to see it.
Mm-hmm. Also, the more he grew, they couldn't key on Reza Terrence so much that the passes could be coming from him as much as from Reza, and I think it really paid off in its space, because you guys really started clicking.
Yeah, I mean that's a key for our Lakers offense altogether, is when we play together, and it doesn't get stuck in one person's stick. It's really dangerous because everyone can score, and there's no weak links on our offense at all. So it's really a tough, tall task for a defense to cover 8 people over the course of a game rather than key on 1 or 2. So definitely one of the keys, and I think we're all contributors to that.
Yeah, a good telltale, I would say, is that Sean Evans goes down for Game 7, and it doesn't mean a thing. The all-time points leader for Man Cup, and you guys just roll on as normal and play a hell of a game. Now, all due respect to Langley, they played a great series too. In fact, I'm not sure. Would it have been the speed of them that kind of, you were missing Reza Terrace and Hogarth for the first couple of games, but they seem to, take you guys a little bit by surprise in the first couple of games, just with their kind of play and the speed and transition.
Yeah, I think the speed of the game, I think it probably contributed a little bit too. We were off for a couple of weeks there, so I think they were a little bit more polished and ready to play than we were. Right. Definitely took us a couple of games to get our feet underneath of us and start playing like our brand of lacrosse. But they were ready to go from the get-go, so kudos to them. And we got off to a little bit of a slow start, which has actually seemed to be a little bit of a trend for us in the Man Cups recently. But we responded, luckily, and those 3 games in 3 days were really big for us to really change the momentum of the series.
Yeah, because you guys gelled together really nicely. And with Hogarth and Rositeris back in the lineup, that certainly changed the whole outlook because there were so many more weapons at any given time.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose two players of like that caliber, it's going to be a hit for any team. Certainly for us, it was, and we just rely on them so much for many different things. It was a big part of our offense that was missing, and once we got them back, it felt like a little bit of like the weight off everyone's shoulders, and we could just get back to playing the way we had all year.
Right.
Yeah, you only have to cover for them for a short time. I mean, it's not like you lose them for the whole series, and that makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely. I think all year we had guys in and out of the lineup, so we were a little bit used to it. And obviously, Resi was out for the whole regular season with him being hurt, so it was a little bit of an adjustment period when he even came back to play in the playoffs. And that's something we, I think, got accustomed to. So it wasn't really something that we were out of place with by missing them the first game or two.
I got to ask, how did you develop such a booming shot?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I grew up watching really close with Caleb Toth, who's I think known for like having one of the hardest shots of all time, and always wanted to be like him. So he taught me. I went to his camps growing up. He is a close friend still, and just really just tried to be like him and emulate his game a little bit. So I think I just kind of copied his stroke when he was shooting the ball, and I think having a little bit of strength and my body type kind of helps me with that as well.
Right, because it's become a game changer, right? Literally from the outside, bang, and there's a corner, and you're set. It just changes all momentum.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice when the ball goes in. Don't get me wrong, but I have, Tracy Kleski's been my coach for a few years now, and he's telling me to take a little bit off of it here and there when the ball's not going in, and just be a little bit more precise with it. But for me, I like to. I don't even really think about it when I'm playing. It's just grip it and rip it and throw it as hard as you can in the net.
Sure. Now, what happens next? Back to the Lakers, or has the PLL come knocking on the door? Because again, that outside shot. That's a pretty good 2-point goal.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard from the PLL. I think my field lacrosse days are behind me at this point, behind me, and that's not something that I'm too upset about, to be perfectly honest with you. I think I'm pretty content playing in the summer for the Lakers, and I don't know that I would trade playing for the Lakers to play in the PLL.
Right. Now, we got about a month before training camps open up. Do we just unwind now and just play golf, or is it, getting yourself psychologically set? I know Tate just got signed with Panther City, so mom and dad are going to have to wear 2 jerseys to these games.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the middle of negotiating my contract right now with the Nighthawks. So I've been going back and forth with Dan Carey a little bit there, and so hopefully that gets ironed out in the next couple of weeks or days, and that would kind of be something off my plate where I can now just focus on getting ready for camp in I think about 40 days or so. So just get back in the gym during the off season where I'm only off for a month a year. So I definitely try to take advantage of it, and I'm going to play some golf definitely before the snow flies here. I'm going to Zach Courier's wedding next week in Calgary, so it's nice to unwind a bit and be able to travel and just enjoy like my family and friends, and just let the body heal as well.
Sure. Now you mentioned about coaching. You'd coach some of the stuff in Peterborough. Is that something that you want to get more and more involved in as time goes on?
Yeah, I would definitely like to. I coached a little bit of field when I was living in DC as well. I coached at a prep school down there. I coached the midget team here in the summer for 2 years. It's something I really enjoy. I do like giving back, and it's a big commitment in the summer when you're playing to coach as well. So I don't know if I'll really dive back into it during my career, but certainly once I retire and have a little bit more time on my hands in the summer, I'll definitely would like to get back into it. And some of my closest friends are coaching the junior team now, so maybe that's in my future as well, helping out there. But would definitely like to give back and help out where I can.
Who have you patterned yourself towards? Is there any of the coaches that you've been, you want to tell us that impacted on your maybe coaching style that you might develop?
Yeah, there's a couple of coaches that have impacted me negatively, so I try to not be like them.
Oh boy! So are we going to know who they are? No.
Dave Petromal is one of them.
Oh my,
So,
another former guest.
yeah, no, I have respect for Coach Petro. I think he's a great person in lacrosse. I think he really understands the lacrosse game well, but his personality and the way he coached really didn't gel well with me, and I think it made us play a little bit more tense as a team at Hopkins, which didn't always jive. And I think kids are built a little bit different now with the way the world is working. You have to be a little bit more lenient, and you have to have kind of a new age of teaching and coaching to you. So that's something that I've adopted, and I just want kids to really have fun and learn things. And success is built off I think people being happy in what they're doing, and that's something that I always kind of keep as a North Star when I'm coaching.
Yeah, so you're looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah, you got to look at the bigger picture. I mean, we play a sport. You're playing a sport for a living. It's not, our certainly our livelihood is on the line, and we do it as a job, but you have to enjoy it still. If you're not enjoying it, you're not going to get the best out of yourself or a team. So, making it a pleasant environment, and really having people enjoy being at the rink or on the field every day is only going to benefit the team. So that's kind of the approach that I have towards it.
It's an interestingly honest answer to have the game impact how you coach more than the people that you've been around. It's an interesting, most guys wouldn't say that. You realize that, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little
That's
different.
a pretty honest thing and pretty brave thing to say, sir. I respect you for it.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit different than most, and
Yeah.
that's the way we play here with the Lakers. We really enjoy being around each other, and it's more about the experience of playing rather than the winning and losing. And obviously, it leads to a lot of success because we're doing that. I'm not saying that we're not competitive. We don't want to win. We're just playing to go out there and see what happens. There's obviously that competitive nature to it, but we just genuinely enjoy being around each other and competing with each other. So the closer you are as a team, and the closer the relationships with you or your coaching staff or anybody, the more success it seems to lead to. So I've never really heard of losing or winning teams that they all hate each other. That doesn't happen too often.
No. Right. We only have a couple of minutes left, so just lastly from me is any advice for the up and coming player, be it junior or trying to make that last step towards NLL or MSL?
Yeah, I think honestly, just keep the stick in your hands as much as you can. When I was a kid, all I did was go in the backyard and shoot balls and run around with my lacrosse stick. And I think that's just the best thing you can do for yourself. And, the more you play, I think the better, and just enjoy it and enjoy the process. Find somebody that, you like doing it with, and bring them to the field every single day or into the box or whatever you want to do. And just make sure that you're enjoying it, and keep moving forward.
Awesome. I really want to thank you for taking the time with us. It was a fantastic Man Cup. It was a fantastic season, actually, for the Lakers all around. A few ups and downs, but really when the push came to shove, you guys just gelled at the right time and showed, once again, what a fantastic organization Peterborough is.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I think this is, the Lakers season of the 4 we've won, probably the most adversity we've faced. We had a whole bunch of things going on with the league. And then with just coming off of 2 years of COVID, we had guys in and out of the lineup with, family vacations or weddings or what have you. And so it was tough to, really get a full roster until really crunch time. And we got tested right to the brink in the Man Cup for sure. So it's a really special year. And to match 4 in a row, the most historic run of Man Cups ever is really, really impressive, I think.
Absolutely.
Well, you've done a great job. Congratulations on the victory. And I can tell you from Gary's reaction, I don't know if he watched the alumni box, inside the alumni box, or the box where they were playing lacrosse? Because from his description of what he did while he was there, I'm not sure which one had more of his attention. It was something that he's very Gary loves the game, and the message I get from him is he loved being there because it was, for a lacrosse fan, it's amazing. I know for the player like you are, it's a great deal, but also for the fans and for the people who've been involved in lacrosse, it's such a lacrosse loving culture there.
Yeah, I think I've said it probably countless times on the show already, but I'm incredibly lucky to have been traded out here and really feel like part of the culture in lacrosse here. Somebody that's an outsider and came from outside the province. It's really humbling to be part of it and be embraced the way I have. So I'm really thankful for it, and it was one of the best series that I've ever played in, for sure, when we won the Mann Cup there.
Thank you, Holden. And Gary, can't wait till next week. Thanks for doing this, guys.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, Frank.
Okay, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Lacrosse Talk, NLL style, seen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Network. For Lacrosse Talk and other news and entertainment sports programming we offer, please follow spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. See you next Thursday. Bye, everybody.